Welcome to tutorial number 5. What we're going to be talking about today is how I go about sequencing and layering my drum and bass drums. First of all, what we're going to do is set out the kick and the snare pattern. As soon as this starts doing what I want it to do, here we go. Bring those first two. What I like to do is just make sure that the first kicks in the bar or in the phrase or whatever are the ones that hit the hardest. That second kick doesn't particularly need to be as strong. So yeah, I'm going to draw a couple of snares in. We'll go for the neurofunk snare. Snare that I use a lot. And then bring the velocity up to there, 127 on them as well. Sweet, so we've got our basis for the tune. And something else that I covered in another tutorial was layering the different elements of the snare, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, so I like that. That one's cool as well. We'll just bring them along a little bit. And what this just does, it just alternates the snare sound as the tune goes on. So we'll listen to that. So you can hear that ever so slightly the snare changes in between each hit, and this helps to just create a more interesting drum mix. And what we're going to get onto now is doing the hats. And it's worth to note that I am using a Rex file here with all the different slices on show, which is the same Rex file that I used on the snare layer, but that one's just processed differently. I like to do this because it creates a little bit of cohesion and it's similar sounds recorded similar ways, so it sort of makes it sound more real, which is what I like to do. So I'm just going to draw in some hats now and build up the drums a little bit more. That's a good one. Just draw them all the way along. I'll probably move them along one as well, actually. There we go. Let's get in there. Let's listen to, see if we can find another sample that we like. That's nice. Yeah, so it's sounding alright. It's not particularly interesting at the moment, but that'll all change in a minute. And what I'm going to get onto now is I'm going to put some ride cymbals in. These are used a lot in drum and bass, and I imagine a lot in other genres as well. Some of the dubstep tunes that I've done, I use a lot of rides and stuff in there, and it just allows you to sort of create another little rhythm amongst the drums and keep things interesting. So I'm just going to draw a few in now. Yeah. And that should sound like this. That sounds not too bad. Quite like that. Now I'm going to stick in a couple of white noise processed ride samples from, you guessed it, Spio. Let's have a listen to that. Just going to bring the velocity down a little bit on there because they're a bit harsh at the moment. Yeah, that sounds quite nice. And what this white noise element is doing for the tune is is putting that top end over the tune, and it just sort of gives that bit of intensity and sheen, and that nice sheen to the tune itself. Cool. Another thing we're going to do on the cymbals here is I'm going to add a crash cymbal at the start of the phrase. There we go. Let's bring down the velocity a little bit. Yeah, and what I like to mark the start and the starts of the different bars and stuff with a crash cymbal. And I imagine loads of people do it. Everyone does it or whatever. But let's have a little look, see what we've got going on. All right, cool. We've got some toms here. We're going to draw some toms in on the end. I usually use toms for like fillers and stuff like that. So for, say for example, at the end of a phrase or just before a drop or something, you can stick a few toms in there, and they can really sort of make a difference because it's like a brand new element to the tune and a new sound for the listener. So let's choose some good toms that we like. Yeah, I'm just going to do a simple 3-time sweep on this one, I think. Going from top to bottom. Yeah, they're not particularly interesting, but they haven't really been processed or anything. So I'm just going to take the snare away on the top here. And the snare layer. Just get rid of them. So it just gives some space for the toms to sort of work. Yeah, not too bad. Right, next thing I like to do, I haven't included it just yet, is use a tambourine. If you listen to any of my tunes, you usually find a tambourine. So yeah, we'll just grab one out of the factory sound bank, which is in percussion loops. Tambourine. We'll go for 120. We'll just go for a slow one. And we'll pick 2 out that we like. Okay. Let's choose one then. That one sounds a bit dodgy. Let's try this. There we go, that's much better. And then you can draw this one in. And here we go. Probably bring that down. I'm just going to add a little bit of room reverb to that. So all these different drum elements are going through the same room. And that creates the sort of same space for the rest of the sounds to sit in. Oh, excuse me. Right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch it up a little bit by choosing another tambourine sample. Yeah, we'll go for a nice fast one this time. Just copy all this over. Cool. And then I'm going to change this to loop 2. I'll rename that a sec. Let's have a listen to that. And you see how something so subtle can add a good sort of a good sound to what you're trying to achieve. And when there's everything else going on in the mix, this fast sort of tambourine will give it that. It'll be quite a way back in the mix, not exactly like in your face, but it will just give that extra bit of pace to just sort of drive your tune along. Yeah, that sounds quite good. So yeah, that's basically how I go about sequencing a basic drum and bass beat, and it's the basis of a lot of my tunes and a good way to work from. So I hope you found this interesting and maybe a little bit entertaining, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Cheers.